Alright, part 192, subpart G, general construction requirements for transmission lines and mains. 192.301, scope. This subpart prescribes the minimum requirements for the construction of transmission lines and mains. 119.303, compliance with specifications and standards. Each transmission line must be constructed in accordance with the comprehensive written specification standards that are consistent with Part 192.305, inspection general. Each transmission line made must be inspected and ensure the construction in accordance with this part. 192.305, inspection general. Each transmission line main must be inspected to ensure that it is constructed in accordance with this subpart. An operator must not use the operator personnel to perform required inspection if the operator personnel required the construction task prohibiting or requiring inspection. Nothing in this section prohibits the operator from inspection construction tasks with the operator personnel who are involved with the other construction task. 192.307, inspection materials. Each length of pipe, each other component must be visually inspected at the site. The installation to ensure that it has not sustained any visually determined damage that could impair its serviceability. 192.309, repair of steel pipe. Each imperfection of the damage impair the serviceability of the length of the steel pipe must be repaired and or removed. If the repair is made by grinding, the remaining wall thickness must be at least be equal to either the minimum thickness required by the tolerance in the specification to which the pipe was manufactured, the nominal wall thickness required for the design pressure of the pipeline. Each of the following dents must be removed from the steel pump to operate with the pressure to produce a hoop of stress of 20% or more of the system measuring yielded strength unless the dent is repaired by a method reliable engineer tested and analyzed so that can permanently restore the serviceability of the pipe. The dent contains the stress concentrations for such scratches, gouges, groove, or arc burn. The dent and the effects of the longitudinal weld circumferential weld. A pipe is operated with a pressure that produces a hoop stress of 40% or more of the system measured yielded strength. A dent has a depth more than 1/4 inch or in the 12 3/4 inch less in the outer diameter, more than 2% of the nominal pipe diameter in the pipe, over 12 3/4 inch in the outer diameter. For this purpose, of this section, the dent is the depression that produces gross disturbance in the curvature of the pipe wall without reducing the pipe wall thickness. The depth of the dent is measured by the gap between the lowest point of the dent and prolongation of the original contour of the pipe. Each arc burn is still arc burn on the steel pipe has to be operated with a pressure to produce a hoop stress of 40% or more of the system measured yielded strength. Must be repaired or removed. If the repair is made by grinding, the arc of the burn must be completely removed and the remaining wall thickness must be at least equal to either minimum wall thickness required by tolerance of the specification to which the pipe was manufactured or the nominal wall thickness required for the design pressure of the pipeline. A gouge or groove or arc burn or dent may not be repaired by inserting a patch or pounding on it. Each gouge or groove, arc burn or dent that is removed from the length of the pipe, it must be removed by cutting out the damaged portion as a cylinder. 192.311, repair of plastic pipe. Each imperfection or damage that would impair the serviceability of the plastic pipe must be repaired or removed. 192.313, bends and elbows. Each failed bend in the steel pipe other than the wrinkle bend and made in accordance with 192.315 must comply with the following. A bend must not impair the serviceability of the pipe. Each bend must have a smooth contour and be free from buckling, cracks, any other mechanical damage. On pipe containing a longitudinal weld must be as near as practicable to the neutral axis of the bend unless the bend is made with an internal bending mandrel. The pipe is 12 inches or less outside diameter of the diameter wall thickness ratio than less than 70. Each circumferential weld steel pipe which is located where the stress during bending causes a permanent deformation in pipe must be non-destructive test either before or after bending process. Wrought steel welding elbows, transverse segments of these elbows may not be used in change of the direction of the steel pipe that is in 2 inches or more in diameter unless the arc length is measured as the crotch measured along the crotch at least 1 inch. 192.315, wrinkle bends in steel pipe. Wrinkle bend may not be made in steel pipe to be operated with a pressure that produces a hoop stress of 30% or more of the system measured yield strength. Each wrinkle bend of the steel pipe must comply with the following. The bend must not have any sharp kinks The measured along with the crotch of the bend, the wrinkles must be the distance of at least one pipe diameter. One pipe 16 inches or larger in diameter. The bend may not have deflection more than 1.5 degrees for each wrinkle. Pipe containing a longitudinal weld, the longitudinal seam must be as near as practicable to the neutral axis of the bend. 192.317 Protection of hazards. Operator must take all practical steps to protect a transmission line main from washouts, floods, unstable soils, landslides, and other hazards that may cause the pipeline to move to sustain abnormal loads. In addition, the operator must take all the practical steps to protect the offshore pipeline from the damage by mud, slides, water currents, hurricanes, ships, and anchors of the fishing operation. Each above-ground transmission line may not located offshore and inland navigable water areas must be protected from accidental damage by vehicular traffic or similar causes, either by placed and by a safe distance from the traffic or installation of the barricades. Pipelines include pipe risers on each platform located offshore and inland navigable waters must be protected from accidental damage by vessel. 192.319 Installation of pipe in the ditch. When installed in the ditch, each transmission line that is operated with a pressure producing a hoop stress of 20% or more, the system measured yield strength must be installed so that the pipe fits the ditch so that it minimizes the stress to protect the pipe coating from the damage of the ditch and from our transmission line must be backfilled in a manner that provides firm support under the pipe previously damaged to the pipe and pipe coating from the equipment or from the backfill pipe material. All offshore pipe and water at least 12 feet deep, not more than 200 feet deep, with a measure from the mean low tide, except for the point pipe of the Gulf of Mexico and its inlets under 15 of the feet of the water must be installed so the top of the pipe is below the natural bottom and left the pipe is supported by stanchions held in place by anchors or heavy concrete coating or protected by equivalent means. Pipe in the Gulf of Mexico and its inlets under 15 feet of water must be installed so that the top of the pipe is 36 inches below the seabed of the normal excavation or 18 inches below the rock excavation. 192.321 Installation of plastic pipe. Alright, plastic pipe must be installed below the ground level except for providing a paragraph G and H of this section. Plastic pipe that is installed and involved with any other below the enclosure must be completely encased in gas-tight pipe. Metal pipe that fitting with the adequate protected with the corrosion. Plastic pipe must be installed so that the minimum of the shear and tensile stress. Thermoplastic pipe with not enough to enclose must have the minimum wall thickness of 90 thousandths of an inch. The tip of the pipe that is outside diameter of 875 thousandths of an inch or less may have the minimum wall thickness of 62 thousandths of an inch. Plastic pipe that is not encased must have an electrically conducted wire or other means of locating the pipe while it is underground. Tracers wire may not be wrapped around the pipe in contact with the pipe must be minimized but not prohibited. Tracers and wire other metallic elements installed with the piping locating purpose may be in the corrosion damage either by use of the coated copper pipe and then other means. The plastic pipe that is being encased may be inserted with a casing pipe of the man with it will protect with the plastic. The leading end of the plastic must be closed before insertion. Uncased plastic pipe may be temporarily installed above ground level and under the following conditions. Operator must be able to demonstrate the cumulative above ground exposure of the pipe does not exceed the manufacturer recommended maximum period of exposure of 2 years, which is left. The pipe was either located where the damage of the external force is unlikely, otherwise protected against the damage. The pipe adequately resist the exposure for the ultraviolet light. High and low temperatures. Plastic pipe may be installed on the bridges provided that it is installed with the protection from the mechanical damage such as the insulation of metallic casing through the protected ultraviolet radiation. 3. Not allowed to exceed the pipe temperature limits specified in 192.123. 192 through 323 casing. Each casing used on a transmission line may remain under the railroad or a highway must comply with the following. The casing must be designed to withstand superimposed loads if possible with the water entering the casing. The ends must be sealed. If the ends are unvented casing that are sealed, the sealing is strong enough to retain the maximum allowable operating pressure of the pipe. The casing must be designed to hold the pressure at a stress level not more than 72% of the system measured yielded strength. If the vents are installed with the casing, the vents must be protected from weather to prevent water from entering the casing. 193.25 Underground clearance. Each transmission line must be installed with at least 12 inches of clearance from any of the underground structure not associated with the transmission line. If the clearance cannot be obtained from the transmission line, must be protected with the damage that might result from the proximity of the other structures. Each main must be installed with enough clearance from any of the other underground structure to allow the proper means and to protect against the damage that might result with the proximity of the other structures. Additionally, meeting the paragraph requirements A and B of this section. Each plastic transmission line main must be installed with the surface clearance must be insulated in any source of the heat as so that it prevent heat from impairing the serviceability of the pipe. Each pipe type and bottle type holder must be installed with a minimum clearance from any of the other holder prescribed in 192.75b. 192.327 cover. Except as provided in paragraphs C, E, and F and G of these sections of the Berry transmission line must be installed with a minimum coverage as follows. Class 1 location 30 and 18. Class 2 and 4 location 36 and 24. Drainage ditches and public roads and railroad crossings nominal 36 and 24. Except for provided in paragraphs C and D of this section, each buried main must be installed with at least 24 inches over the cover of the underground structure, prevents the insulation of transmission line. Main with a minimum cover of the transmission line or main may be installed with less cover that is provided with additional protection withstand anticipated external loads. A main may be installed with less than 24 inches over the cover less than the laws in state and municipality. Each establishment of the cover less than 24 inches requires the main to be installed with a common trench for the other utility lines. Provide adequate prevention of the damage of the pipe external forces, except provided in paragraph C with this section of pipe installed with a navigable river, stream, harbor must be installed with a minimum cover 48 inches in soil and 24 inches in consolidated rock between the top of the pipe underwater natural bottom as determined by recognized by generally accepted practices. A pipe installed offshore except for the Gulf of Mexico inlets under the water not more than 200 feet with the deep as measured from the mean low tide must be installed the following except as provided in paragraph C of this section. Pipe under the water less than 12 feet with the deep must be installed with a minimum coverage of 36 inches of the soil or 18 inches in the consolidated rock between the top of the pipe and the natural bottom. Pipe under the water at least 12 inches deep must be installed with the top of the pipe with the below with the natural bottom, and the left of the pipe is supported by stanchions held in place with the anchor's heavy concrete coating. Protected equivalent means all pipelines installed under water Gulf of Mexico is in inlets defined in 192.3 must be installed in accordance with 192.612b3. 192.328 additional construction requirements for the steel pipe alternative maximum allowable operating pressure for new existing pipeline segments to be eligible for the operating alternative maximum allowable operating pressure calculated in 192.620 segment must be the following additional construction requirements required must be maintained for the useful life of the pipeline, demonstrating the compliance with these requirements. Subpart H, customer meters, service regulators, and service lines.